Hi, this is James from I Care About Privacy. Today I am sharing how to delete your information off the internet, but especially off data broker and people search websites. I'm going to explain what people search and data broker companies do, why they are a problem, and what you can do about it. I will cover how to take care of it yourself, which is free, and how to have someone do it for you, which costs money. Have you ever Googled yourself? Curious what the internet knows about you? If the internet knows you, it knows you well. Some of the results might be your social media profiles. Or maybe you were never a social media person. Maybe there are other people with your name that you find first. If someone wanted to find out about you, what would they be able to find? If you already locked in your social media profiles, where would they go next? If they know what they're doing, they might check people search sites. Do you remember all the addresses you lived in during college? Some people search sites probably remember them better than you. People search sites know your current address, former addresses, email, and phone numbers. They know who your relatives are. They know your date of birth. Have you had that dream where you're in public, maybe at work or at school, and you realize you're naked, exposed? This is real life, and we are all exposed. Your personal information is all over people search websites. People search sites are a slice of the data broker industry. Hundreds, if not thousands, of data brokers know and sell your personal information. They collect your preferences and demographic information and sell you to marketers or really anyone willing to pay. Why does this matter? Why should you care that these companies have your information? What do you have to lose? Does anyone like spam? Do you get those annoying robocalls and emails? How about the junk mail in your mailbox? Do you get scam phone calls and texts? Have you had the phone calls from scammers interested in buying your house? Privacy and sharing your personal information wasn't that big of a deal when you were younger and had no assets. But now you have a lot to lose. Maybe you have real estate. Maybe you have a lot of money in a 401k, a brokerage account, or just a checking account. Do you have great credit? How devastating would it be if someone stole your identity? When was the last time you reviewed your credit report? How long would it be before you noticed someone had opened a new account in your name? Identity theft losses in 2020 were $56 billion. The financial part of it is obviously frustrating, but what about the other factors? Time to recover from identity theft was 6 months and 200 hours of work. Do you have that kind of time? There's also an impact on mental health, with increased stress, poor sleep quality, and difficulty focusing. If someone targeted you, could they do much damage? Doxing is another risk you're exposed to by having information online. Doxing can severely impact your whole family. Doxing is defined as the act of publicly revealing previously private information about an individual or organization through the internet. This can impact not just you, but your whole family. David Quintavalli was wrongly accused of violence at the Capitol protests. He was later able to prove that he was across the country at the time. But because his personal information was on the internet, and some internet trolls thought it was him, he experienced threatening phone calls, had media outside his house, and was brutally attacked on social media. He did nothing wrong, but his lack of privacy ended up being an uncomfortable affair for the whole family. So what is a people search website anyway? People search websites let you type in a name and often a location. Some let you type in an address to find out who lives there, or a phone number to see whose number it is. Sometimes these sites have outdated or wrong information, but more often they're spot on. The more sophisticated sites have a history on you with many old addresses, phone numbers, and even email addresses. Some include criminal, divorce, and other records. Many of them are completely free, but some of them hide your information behind a paywall. To see all the information, you have to pay them anywhere from $1 to $30. Some of the more impressive people search sites are Spokeo, Nuber, True People Search, Redaris, and InfoTracer. There are hundreds of these sites. What are data brokers? Data brokers are a group of sites or companies that collect data on consumers, meaning they collect your data. Data brokers collect and organize consumer information and sell it to anyone willing to buy it. Often it is to marketers. The more sophisticated data brokers collect consumer preferences and interests to better fill out their consumer profiles. Some data brokers let you search their databases to see what information they have about you, but others don't. Many of these companies are not consumer-facing, and the average person has no idea how much these companies collect on them. So what can you do about it? Making yourself invincible from these companies, sadly, isn't very realistic. You could go extreme and live off-grid. Maybe you could move overseas or become homeless. You could also sell your home and buy a new one with a complicated trust or LLC to hide that it's you that lives there. You'd be pretty hard to find in one of those cases. For normal people, the answer is to remove your data from people search and data broker websites. You can do it yourself. This is the cheaper option, but it will still cost you. It costs you time, planning, persistence, and attention to detail. Doing one site out of the 100 or so sites with your data makes virtually no difference in reducing your online footprint. It is a go big or go home kind of an issue. It might be closer to the 80-20 rule. Maybe you don't have to fight to get yourself off every single site. But if you go for the big ones, it will help reduce your exposure. The process is fairly involved. You have to go site by site, search for your profile, and if you find yourself, go through the removal process. Removal processes vary, but often it requires you to submit the URL of the page with information and an email address you can verify. They then send you a link, you have to click that link. But there's plenty of variations, some requiring you to send in snail mail, answer a phone call, make a phone call, submit your ID, click an absurd amount of CAPTCHAs, or any other annoying hoops to make it hard and confusing for you to remove your data. The place to start is to get a list of the sites and go through them one by one. There are multiple lists out there, but we suggest you start with Michael Bazell's list at inteltechniques.com. There's a link in the description below. It will probably take a regular person anywhere from 10 to 30 hours to go through all the websites and request removal of your data. Let us know in the comment section how long it took to request removal of your data from all the websites. Unfortunately, requesting removal of your data isn't the only step. You'll then need to check later to confirm that they actually removed it. All of the sites have different timing about when your data will be removed. Some remove it as soon as you request it, but others take up to 2 weeks or longer. The next problem is that some of these sites add your profile back when they get new data. Some privacy advocates suggest you go through all of these sites every 6 months to get your data removed. It probably won't take as long the first time, but it will still be a bit of a marathon. A good rule of thumb would be when you check your credit reports, you can also check your people search exposure. In case you didn't know, you can check your credit for free every year with 3 major credit bureaus. There's a link in the description. The other option to remove your data is to have someone else do it for you. This costs money, but is very cheap in terms of your time and energy. They jump through all the hoops to remove your data so you don't have to. Paid services are not perfect. They don't know you as well as you know you. They often don't cover every single people search or data broker site. In addition, it can be a little uncomfortable. They know all of your personal information because you tell them, and then they look for more. Some services let you see what they find and remove, but others don't. Paid services are consistent. They check for your data at regular intervals, most are monthly. If they remove your data, but you pop up on that same service, they'll remove you again. There are 3 solid options for paid services. The first is My Data Removal. They check for and remove your data from over 50 sites each month for $150 per year. We've had a great experience working with them in the past. Another option is DeleteMe. They've been around the longest. They check for and remove your data from 36 sites for $129 per year. Reputation Defender is another solid option. They cover more than 100 websites, but for $1,000 per year. So what should you do? You should do what makes sense for you. Comparing the DIY with the paid options, we can see the advantages and disadvantages of each approach. DIY is best. It lets you stay in control and is the most private. It does, however, require a decent amount of time and a systematic approach. Using a service, on the other hand, is simple and very straightforward. It does cost money and requires you to share your information with yet another service. We hope this has been helpful. Hit us up in the comment section with any questions or comments. Let us know how long it took you to get your information off the internet. Let's take back the internet by taking back our privacy.